Welcome back to FHL Community Episodes. We are on the second part now of Volunteers, the Lifeblood of Nonprofits. So last week I talked about the value of volunteers. So the value of volunteers, we just break it down into three. First is the economic value. And then the other importance of volunteer is its social impact. Now we spent a few minutes on this one because social impact can bring more value, even more than the economic value of volunteerism. That's because social impact, it cultivates the caring for one another. You're out there. It enhances the sense of security and friendship. The society become more involved and they collaborate and work together, and then new friendships are formed, and also existing friendships could be strengthened. So now we're going to take a look at the third value of the volunteers, which is spiritual transformation. So on the spiritual transformation, that is even greater than social impact. That's because we are a spiritual spiritual being, and again, the spiritual counts more than the physical, although we have to live in the physical. So those two, the first value, economic, that's physical. The second value is the social impact, and then the third one is the spiritual transformation. So in missional food pantries, we have seen people's lives change when they receive prayers. And I tell you what, there's something about prayers, and there are numerous and countless benefits if someone prays. So again, what a great privilege for a missional food pantry to pray for people, for clients, for one another, even the volunteers themselves. Another thing is that volunteers witness the power of service. I tell what, something happened with an individual spiritually when they see the power of service change a person's perspective. It's just like, wow, I can't believe somebody really cares for me. I can't believe somebody's cleaning up my yard. I can't believe somebody is walking me on the streets. People who witness that kindness, that act of kindness, can also have spiritual transformation. When you volunteer, you're not only conduit of transformation, you are also transform yourself. And then spiritual growth normally happens because you experience it, you witness it, not just by yourself, but with other people. And you will just tell the story over and over again that, this spiritual growth start to happen between you and the volunteers and also the recipients, and that can actually infect in a good way to your family, to your city, to the nation. So based on the three premises, we can identify some of the benefits of volunteering. So now if you are thinking about, okay, so I'd like to volunteer. You talk so much about the benefits of being recipients of volunteers, but what if you are the volunteer yourself? Tell you what, there are a few things that we can talk about this. It changed lives. There's also psychological and physiological benefits. There are scientific evidences that giving of yourself can positively affect your body's health and well-being. Can you imagine that? So if you feel like, oh man, I don't feel good, I feel like lethargic or whatever, why don't you go ahead and volunteer and see what happens? Value to nature. Think about it. Both human beings and nature, such as the ecological system, the forests, and the preservation of earth, are affected in many ways. You're probably a volunteer in cleaning the beaches, cleaning the river, maybe the forest, planting trees because of deforestation. So there's value to nature, and you and I are part of the nature, and we also receive the value. So I have a couple of some questions here for you to ponder as we end this episode. How can we ensure that we serve our volunteers? And again, I mentioned to you before that we need to serve first our volunteers before we can serve other people outside of our food pantries, of our nonprofits, or outside of our organization. That's first, we have to continuously cast the vision, because it's the vision that fuels the motivation of volunteers to do beyond what expected of them, and also to do without expecting anything in return. That's the power of vision. Have a briefing and debriefing each time an organization have an outreach event or event. So again, that's why at Missional Food Pantries, before we serve together, we have the briefing, we have the devotion, we have to focus what's really major on major things, not on minor things. And then after each food pantry or after each event that we have done, outreaches, then we also have a debriefing. We share, hey, what did you see out there? Is there any stories that would encourage all of us? Or what are the things that you have observed? Those are very, very important, that actually strengthen the resolve of a volunteer to continue on, the debriefing. Now, send thank you notes and call to check on them. Now, I teach them this all the time, and we have to be reminded, all of us, that a simple thank you, sending even just a small note, U.S. postmail, sometimes is better than just sending an email or text, because you took the time to write it. And I tell you what, when a volunteer receives from a pastor, from a leader, about like, thank you, you mean a lot, or you made a great impact in our community, that means a lot to them, and that they will continue to encourage them to serve. Have a volunteer appreciation day or gathering. In the past we had like meeting, right? A group meeting. I actually brought our leaders to a lakeside house. We rented a house. And we, from morning, we had like worship, devotions, and then we tell the stories, and in the end, we actually had like a boat ride, and they really appreciate that. Offer Bible study or a time to learn from one another. That's very, very huge. Again, if you're a Christian, you're a Christian nonprofit, and you want to continue on, not just to motivate people or manipulate them, but really look at what the Bible is saying about the importance of volunteerism, or maybe the importance of what they do, the impact of their services and the projects that they do in a greater community that helps not just the volunteers but also the leaders. So hopefully these simple things, practical things, would help you to start to take a look back, a fresh look at volunteerism, and hopefully you will review these things, because again, volunteers are the lifeblood of all nonprofits. And remember, you have the power to bring kingdom solutions and resources to the world problems and challenges. Until then, God bless you, and we'll see you at the next FHL community episodes.